This Labor Day weekend, we're celebrating with speed, power, and a tasty dinner.
These blue water torpedoes are hitting spreads along current lines and wrecks, and our captains have the tactics to help you land one just in time for the holiday. We're talking Wahoo on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Thanks for joining us and our live studio audience on the Florida Insider Fishing Report just in time for the long Labor Day weekend ahead. And the only work we want you to be doing is cranking in a big old Wahoo, right?
You're absolutely right, Bree. And you know, one of my favorite Sportsman's Adventure episodes was when you were pregnant with one of the babies and we went and filmed a Wahoo show.
Yes, we did.
And wrecked them. We caught them.
I caught my first, and then my second, and then my third, and my fourth, and it just kept going until it wasn't, my first time Wahoo fishing anymore. All right, well, before we see how our captains are getting it done like that, let's say hi to Dave Farrell at the TCA Workbench. Hello, Dave.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm stealing money. Stealing some money tonight. We got a guy come in, and he's Greg. He's going to talk a little bit about ROFS, the fishing forecast service. Why you should have one of those.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. All right, well, we're starting in the Phillips Southwest region. We're catching a Wahoo. It's about being prepared with a little luck on your side. So let's hear what we need to do with Captain Ronnie Houston.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure representing the Phillips Southwest region. You know, catching Wahoo in the region is really about being at the right place, right time, like you said, just having a little bit of luck. But throughout the region, each year, more and more, you're hearing about more catches. Now, an up-and-coming captain I've been fishing with, Captain Davis Olson, recommends baits he likes catching them. He likes trolling either early morning or late afternoon, and the depths he likes to concentrate in the depths of 180 to 240. And when he does that, he might be looking for birds, he might be looking along a weed line, but he likes using large lip plugs, especially in the darker colors. Now, another way to catch these fish is most guys, they're not trying to catch Wahoo, but you get lucky while you're out there bottom fishing. Always use a flat line while bottom fishing. He tells me you can use a chunk or a live bait, and a lot of times fish will come right up to the boat. But he also recommends a lot of times having a simple pitch rod ready, the bait ready in the live well. Have a certain rod put aside, make sure you have a feeder on it and a wire stinger, and when the fish approaches the boat, pitch that live bait out, and chances are you're going to catch them with wire and a stinger. And I've got a picture of a Wahoo that was just caught in the last couple weeks, by luck, practicing the same pattern.
Nice. All right, what else you got offshore, Ronnie?
You know, still on the offshore side, the groupers. Now, there's plenty of opportunities in many ways to catch these fish right now, and you can catch these fish right now in a couple of depths. 110 to 140, but also 200 to 240. You want to concentrate in fishing areas with structure and areas of bait raised up off the bottom. One of the main things is watching your bottom finder. It's going to be important, and you can either drift, you can idle, or while you're running. Now, I've practiced this pattern. I've had the opportunity to fish with some captains here in the last couple weeks, and this is what we've been doing, and we've had a lot of success working this pattern. Now, baits of choice have been, I was on a trip a couple weeks ago. We couldn't catch a fish on a live pinfish, but this week we caught them on live pinfish. A couple weeks ago, we caught them on dead baits. So having a variety of baits with you is going to be the key. You can use a variety of bucktails also, or a variety of pitch jigs. And I got a picture of a nice scamp that was caught. I caught while fishing with Captain Davis Olson this weekend. And guys, let me tell you something. On this offshore side, if you put in the time, you're going to catch the fish. We were running out to 300 feet of water this week to a spot that was marked, but we took a different route. We ran over 2 different piles of fish that were not marked, and we ended up catching snappers and groupers off them. So put in the time, keep an eye on that bottom finder. You don't need to ping another guy out there if you see him. Go catch some fish. And I got a nice picture, like I said, this week of a nice...
All right, tell me inshore, bub.
Inshore, the tarpons. Captain Danny Latham reports fishing has been good, especially up in the harbor. Looking for some of those deep holes early morning and late afternoon, especially when it's calm out. He's using a variety of artificials like the Berkeley coal shads, but then also, if they won't go for the artificials, he's got some live ladyfish and crabs. He's drifting these areas. In some of these areas, these fish can be stubborn, but you want to be fishing the areas where the fish are free jumping or rolling. Also, while I've been snook fishing at night, I've been fishing a variety of bridges right now, anywhere from the Caloosahatchee all the way down to Marco Island. Along the bridge spans, they've been a nuisance while I'm trying to snook fish. Look for these fish right now in the shadow lines. A lot of these fish aren't off the beaches. The rain has changed things. I'm seeing a lot of these fish. The main key is the shadow lines. Keep your eyes and ears open. You're going to hear, move down a couple of pilings along those shadow lines. You're going to find some tarpons. And I got a nice tarpon release recently while fishing with Danny. He was up there in the harbor.
Nice.
Last species is going to be the redfish. Now, Captain Danny says the east side of Pine Island Sound on the higher water, concentrating on fishing mangrove shorelines. He's telling me the small pinfish and sardines have been working really well. But on the lower water, guys, they're getting a lot of floating grass up in those areas. So early morning or late afternoon after a rainstorm, Johnson gold spoons and 1/4 to 1/2 ounce just to keep you out of those weeds. In the center of the region, Estero Bay along the Independent Islands and mangrove shorelines, keys there have been cutting live baits, tree-lined or under a cork. Down in the southern end of the region, concentrate your efforts right now from Coon Key to Indian Key, skipping Berkeley Gulf shrimp, Texas rig, 2-penny color, especially under the bushes at high tide. On those lower tides, going to be on the outskirts of the potholes and troughs, but you can use a variety of cut baits. I like the pinfish knocker rig that keeps that bait in the zone with a 1/2 ounce knocker, 1/4 ounce gold spoons, and at lower water, my favorite's been the Berkeley J. Walkers locating these fish. If they miss the top waters, drop back what may be a Berkeley Gold shrimp or a bass assassin paddletail. And I got some pictures this week of Danny getting into some fish up in the northern end of the region. Guys, keep an eye out for the rain. We got a front coming down the middle state. Might change the way things are going. Get out early. Watch the storms. Have a great holiday weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Phillips Southwest region. He says inshore, snook in the Everglades backcountry with freshwater runoffs along the windy points, the mouth of feeder creeks, and the areas of deadwood. And then offshore, red snapper throughout the entire region, 200 to 240 feet of water, using live pinfish, cut bait, and 7 to 10 ounces of weight to get to the bottom.
All right, well, where there's a will, there's a way. And hopefully Wahoo in the Central East region and Captain Jim Ross has the exact info we'll need to make it happen. Are you ready for the weekend, Jim? Hello.
I'm absolutely ready for this Labor Day weekend coming up. And I tell you what, the Wahoo, one of the fastest fish in the ocean, but they can be a little tricky to catch. Guys here in the Central East region need to be looking out for rips, floaters, and the western edge of the Gulf Stream, especially where it lines up over the top of the Okalina Coral Bank in our region. Wahoo often, they just can't resist dark skirts, big swimming plugs. You know, you pull those things at 9 to 15 knots. And the key to it is once you hook up, don't slow the boat down very much. You need to keep the boat in gear. Otherwise, they can outrun you and they can shake the hook. So to keep those fish on there, obviously, you want to keep that boat moving. Do not stop the boat. We also find them in other places from, you know, especially if you're running from spot to spot, bottom spot to bottom spot, throw a high-speed lure out. Can't hurt. And then on the 70 to 90 foot reefs late in the year, we often find that these big wahoo will move in and start feeding on the small kingfish that are in there on the reef. So if you're slow trolling live baits for those kings, don't be surprised if you don't have a wahoo or two show up. Our average wahoos are about 35 to 45 pounds, but fish to 60 pounds are common here on the Space Coast. The other species we've got offshore that's been also showing up and pretty decent right now is the cobia. As the water cleans up after this latest swell from the hurricane, the reefs in the 75 to 140 foot range are starting to come alive again, and pogies, pilchards, and croakers are great live baits that you can drop down and find cobia with. You also can find them popping up behind the wake of the boat once in a while if you're just sitting there on anchor, or if you're slow trolling like we were talking about for those king mackerel a little bit ago. And you can also find them this time of the year as it starts to cool down in the 30 to 50 foot depths around bait pods. Now, if you find them around a bait pod, get up like a Penn Slammer 5500 with some 30 to 40 pound test on it and like a 50 to 60 pound leader, and pitch either those live baits or some kind of a cobia jig around the edges of those pods. And just remember to net your cobia because some of them aren't quite 36 inches at the fork just yet. And so if you stick the gaff in them, obviously, they don't swim away as easily. I got a nice picture here of one that we caught the other day. Actually, this one was right outside the buoy line at Canaveral, right outside buoys 3 and 4 on a bait pod. And we had 3 fish. This was the biggest of the 3. He actually got to come home and was invited to dinner. Swinging inshore. Got some snook action going on right now. Our inlets and beaches, you know, the swell is starting to dissipate, and I tell you, there's mullet all up and down, especially the north part of our region right now. Just absolutely tons of mullet. So the Space Coast is coming alive. That mullet run is starting to kick off. If you're fishing at night, obviously, some lures can be handy as well. But in the daytime, you want to stick with those live baits, either croakers, pogies, or mullet. That Artemis shad can also work for guys that are standing on the beach casting into the surf because it's a little dirtier there. And obviously that's a great nighttime bait as well. Flare hawks also work, and lip diving plugs in that 5 to 7 inch range, especially down at the Sebastian and up at the Ponce Inlet jigs. Live shrimp will be working near the New Smyrna North and South Causeway bridges as those, and actually the Dunlawton Bridge. You will find that the snook will be holding under those and right there in those shadow lines at night. And the live shrimp free line through there can be really good. 28 to 38 inches is our average snook, and here's a picture of one that we got the other day that actually measured right around 37 inches.
That's a beautiful fish, bub. Tell me about the redfish. Come on.
Redfish are holding in the same places as the snook when you're out there on the beach and the inlets. You just have to downsize your baits a little bit a lot of times because a lot of the redfish aren't really big. They're actually slot size or just above slot. Other than that, inshore, areas around the Wabasso Bridge, from Wabasso Bridge up to the Sebastian Inlet, Campbell's Pocket up to Mullet Creek as well on the north side of the inlet, holding really good numbers of reds, and you can get them on cut finger mullet or assassin sea shad, rigged on 1/8 to 1/4 ounce screw lock jig head. Good colors right now are pilchard and also that salt and pepper with a chartreuse tail. And then in the Mosquito Lagoon, they're striking finger mullet or pigfish or shrimp. And a lot of the guys are fishing around Preacher's Island, Middle Island, and all the way up to like the Goodrich, Lease, and the north end of the Hong Kong Flats with popping corks. And they're doing pretty good there. And I've got a pair of beach fish that we caught the other day. And this is your average size fish that you're going to find running the surf line right now. So like I was saying, downsize your baits just a little bit from what you'll be catching the snook on, and you'll start catching these guys too.
All right, Jimmy, great report. Thank you for batting number 2 this week for us. We're going to go and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Central East region. He says that inshore, the speckled trout and the redfish are in the upper Mosquito Lagoon grass flats, using popping corks with shrimp or small live pigfish or croakers in 2 to 4 foot of depth. And then offshore, troll small lures or chin-weighted ballyhoos for the mahis, the wahoos, the blackfin tunas near the rip associated with the western side of the Gulf Stream.
And Captain Jim Ross will be here next week filling in for you.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not going to be here next week?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I'll have Captain Jim Ross with me by my
I
side.
do whatever you
and he's pretty good.
You and everybody else tells me.
Well, I can't wait for you to already get back.
Okay.
We're getting you rigged and ready with Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench and his special guest for this weekend, Dave.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Greg Galakowski from Vice President of Ross is here, and he's going to tell us all about why we need to have a good forecasting service offshore. Save us some money.
Ooh, I
and
like
time.
the sound of that. All right, then the Black Oak LED Keys Region Captain has the tricks you'll need to get those Wahoo to the boat, so keep those lines tight, and we'll be right back with Captain Ridge Murphy.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
I got to say all Rick's lines. We're at the CCA Workbench here, doing some rigs and techniques. We got Greg Galakowski here from Ross, and he's going to tell us a little bit about fishing forecast services. I'm very familiar with him because when I was the editor of Marlin Magazine, you guys used to advertise with us a lot.
Yes.
And the guys who are fishing for Marlin really use your service a lot. And there's a reason. What is Ross? What do they do?
So basically we provide analysis to find fish, find concentrations of bait, rips, weed lines, convergence zones, basically based on sea surface temperature and ocean color, stability of the water, currents. We provide a multiple page now fishing forecasting analysis with a full page text giving you GPS coordinates on where we think you're going to catch fish and why.
So you give us a good place to start.
Yes.
Whenever you're looking out at the great big empty of the ocean and you're thinking, well, you know, where am I going to start today? If I call you guys up, you give me a precise location based on the sea surface temperature and all that other stuff.
Yep.
So we know, because even 10 or 15 degrees can be hundreds, even sometimes thousands of dollars in fuel, and also your time. So when you're doing that, so what exactly do they delve into? What are they looking at to try to get these pinpointed places?
So basically, we pull down a bunch of satellite imagery, get about 12 to 15 passes a day from all different satellites. We calibrate it, do our thing with it, and guys will call us when they're fishing. We provide an analysis the night before, and it's a forecast for the next day. And we provide hotspot dots on there based on the inlet you're coming out of. And we provide a full-page text describing what's going on in ocean conditions, giving you GPS coordinates, and in the text describing why we think you're going to catch fish in those areas. We also provide, once you're out there, the next morning between 10:30 and 12, we have a dedicated text number, or you can call our office number and get an update. We take your GPS and look at the imagery when you're actually out there and direct you where to go.
So if I head all the way out there, my 2.5 hours to the spot, and I get there and I say, oh, geez, I don't see any bait or color changes here, I can give you a call, and you'll point me in the right direction. What's the hardest part about the sea surface temperature, especially in the Gulf of Mexico? It seems like it'd be pretty uniform.
I mean, over the summer, it's probably only 2 to 5 degree breaks.
So 2 to 5 of a degree is what you're looking for.
And a lot of times in the summer, we'll look more for ocean color. A lot of guys off of West Florida, but also, as you go north in the northeastern Gulf, rig fishing, structure fishing, a lot of those guys, they're looking for breaks still, but they're looking what structures are in cleaner water and closer to those green to blue water breaks.
I got you. So what do you think is more important overall, the color of the water or the temperature?
It's really different depending on what region you're in. Yeah. I mean, there's areas. I mean, right now, Matt from Ross is up in Nantucket trying to tag white marlin, and 10 miles off in Nantucket, and those fish. There was a big bite in the canyons up there. Guys were catching 30 or 40 a day, and in August those fish move inshore. In the Gulf, I know I have had clients that 60 feet off of Cape San Blas and off of Destin, Florida, catching 200 plus pound yellowfin in green water, as well as white marlin in shallow. So it just really depends on the region and the time of the year.
Now, do you guys do any commercial work? Do you guys steer tuna fishermen around and that sort of thing? Or?
We've done over the years. Right now, we don't really have any commercial clients. Closest to commercial right now, we do some stuff for some rigs in the Gulf. Current monitoring we provide 3 times a week. If the currents get over 2 knots, the guys got to stop drilling, pull their bits. I mean, the bits are over $1 million. So if it gets over 2 knots, the cord coming down the bit can bend and it can ruin the bit. So.
Okay. So where do we go if we want to look up your service and maybe subscribe?
Our website is www.rofs.com, and we're also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's @RofsFishing.
Beautiful. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming in.
So much information. I love it. Thanks for being here. All right. Well, there are so many ways in such little time to catch a Black Oak LED's Keys Region Wahoo. So let's get Captain Ridge Murphy on the line to guide us in the right direction. What's going on, Ridge?
Wahoo is one of my top 5 favorite fish, not just because they're fast and hard to catch on mono, but also of how good they are to eat. Sushi style with jalapeno, bell peppers, cilantro, olive oil, lemon, dumped in a soy sauce is the ticket, and you guys can thank me later. But here in the Black Oak LED region, we catch wahoo for the majority of the year, from targeting them in the fall around the cold fronts, high-speed trolling with R&R wahoo magnets, or a variety of islander lures, or even some lip plugs that Savage has to offer. And guys will high-speed trolling leads ranging from 32 to 64 ounces, and troll 3 to 5 lures in a spread, zigzagging down the edge from 100 to 600 feet of water. In the springtime, you can target them on the kites with wire, on the longs and the middles with big goggle eyes or speedos, or slow troll them around the edge and the bigger wrecks. This is also the time of year that the spear fishermen will dive on the wrecks looking for them and shoot them. And then during the summertime, you can find wahoos anywhere from the deeper edges from 200 to 400, trolling number 4 to number 6 planers Or you can look for them on the weed lines and the floaters. You can use a vertical jig on the floaters or troll around the structure with spoons, ballyhoos on wire, or sea witches on planers. And I have a photo of a pretty memorable wahoo that was caught filming in Sports and Adventures, running from spot to spot with 2 lures out on Penn 80 wides.
That was a big one, Bubba. That's for sure.
A large one.
All right, tell me what else you got offshore in the Florida Keys, please.
The early morning tuna bite on the humps has been the most consistent thing right now. The sharks are pretty bad, but you can get the tunas early. Take your time getting the live bait because you're going to go through it, and you want to bump into the current and throw chummers and freeline pilchers behind the boat. Work 2 to 3 rods at a time to increase your odds, and keep the chum trickling out of the boat slow. The tunas will come up to the surface and give you a good show. Small eagle claw live bait J hooks on 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader on Penn spinning rods will get the job done. And if in the event that the bait is hard, you can troll on the humps around the tuna birds with small islander lures of your choice. This past week we pulled blue and white cone head shapes and pink and white bullet head shapes, and those work pretty well. I asked Justin Miller off the Real McCoy for some tuna photos this week, and he says the action's happening so fast that they're bleeding them and going straight into the box, but they go straight on ice, and he sent in this picture of a perfectly cut sashimi ready for some soy sauce.
That's a real good picture. That's what the end result of any tuna fish.
That's what tuna picture is supposed to look like, right?
That's right, Bubba. Good job. All right, let's go inshore, please.
The inshore fishing in Florida Bay has been pretty good, but the floating grass is making it a nightmare to present baits properly. So with as hot as it's been, guys are getting up early before the afternoon thunderstorms, and they're getting their limits of lobsters. So you want to have a dye flag and a buddy with a tickle stick and some snares, and you want to work with nets too. The lobsters are going in the holes and in the cracks on the nearshore reefs, on the contour changes on both sides of the highway. And remember, if you're diving on the bay side, make sure that you're south of the park boundary line because you don't want to get a ticket. And also make sure to have a good measuring device. And it helps to have a boat driver to keep you from getting ran over by other boats. So make sure to have a boat driver to kind of stay up on top of you guys with that dive flag. I also have a photo sent in by Captain Thomas Sims of his customer Sky with a nice lobster that they got out during the nighttime out bully netting the other night.
Nice. All right, 1 to go. What do you got?
The bonefish in the backcountry of Isla Morada and down in the lower Keys has been pretty good. You're going to work with the incoming tides as the fish are working their way onto the flats. You want to look for mudders, wakers, and tailors, and you want to pull with the current looking for the fish and stop the boat short and throw a shrimp rigged weedless on an eagle claw shrimp hook with 2 little small split shots to help you throw it on your Fenwick 7-foot 6-inch medium light fast spinning rod. Throw big leads in front of the fish and wait for the fish to approach it. And once he eats, reel as fast as you can for 15 seconds and then lift the rod and let that fish pull lots of drag. I have a photo sent in from Captain Jake Turk out of Bud and Mary's of Mark from Boston. That fish was caught in downtown Isla Morada.
All right, thank you so much, Ridge. Good report from the Black Oak LED Florida Keys region. We're going to take a look at Scientific Angler. Hot spots, he says, inshore, the lobster diving in the day before the afternoon thunderstorms set in, and then you can also target them at night with a bully net with lights, and then offshore early in the morning, the tuna bite on the humps, live chumming with pilchards as the captain bumps the boat into the current, stay ahead of the fish. Free line live baits on the edge with an eagle claw circle hook.
And take note of those ingredients in the photo.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive on in and see what tournaments are going on in the Florida Keys, shall we? All right, first, teams fish around the clock in Key Largo from Friday night, September 26th through Sunday afternoon, September 28th, with awards by Isla Morada artist Pasta Pantalillo for catches of trout, snook, and redfish in the Take Stock and Children Backcountry Tournament. Then is the Fall Backcountry Fly Championship, where anglers compete October 3rd and 4th in Isla Morada to catch the most inches of snook and redfish on fly. Then anglers vie for cash prizes for the top 3 swordfish and the largest wahoo during the Marathon Offshore Swords and Stripes Tournament, October 8th through the 12th in Marathon. And finally, anglers compete for prizes and trophies in the annual Chica Lodge All-American Backcountry Tournament, November 13th through the 15th, targeting snook, redfish, bonefish, tarpon, and permit. The tournament hosts 2 military veterans to compete alongside other anglers each year. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. Okay, so wahoo is not only a great fish to catch, but it is what you would yell Can you just practice? If you were a CCA member and registered for Star, when you landed a tagged redfish, yell. Wahoo! Okay, yep, that's a little underrated, but that's what you would be yelling because you just won your choice of either a Carolina Skiff, Center Council, Seaborn, Spider, Vapor, or a Microdraft Skiff 22 Extreme, all powered by Yamaha. There's still time to register for the CCA Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha. The competition does end Labor Day. Enter any fish you catch, including that Wahoo, for your shot at winning a share of $500,000 in prizes and scholarships. Go to www.ccaflstar.com to register or to purchase a triple header raffle ticket. September could be a winning month as the winners for the raffle and Star will be drawn in the first week of September. The Star Awards ceremony will be October 18th at the Space Coast Convention Center in Cocoa Beach, Florida. See you there. It's going to be a fun time, and it's ending all this weekend, so get registered.
I'm glad you had to read all that. We'd be next week by the time I got done.
You are correct, and no one would understand what you were just saying. All right, coming up, we're trolling over to the East region and saying hi to our friend from Bahio. Then the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region, Captain Jimbo Thomas, is in the hot seat with everything you'll need to know to get that drag screaming. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Wahoo, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
So joining me is Al Perkinson from Bahio Sunglasses, the CEO. And you know what, Al? 5 years we're celebrating now.
Can you believe it?
Can you?
5 years, I can't believe it.
How time flies. You know, let's talk a little bit about what makes Bahio so different than everybody else.
Well, you know, we understand what makes us different by what our customers buy. And our customers love our glass lenses. So I think they love them because they're so clear and they're scratch resistant, because you know every fisherman cleans his glasses with his sandy shirt tail, and you know the glass lenses don't scratch.
Why are they so clear as far as the colors? You know, everybody says wow when they first put on a pair of Bahios.
Yeah, you know, we take all the noise out, all the visual noise. We take out the blue light, the yellow light, and it just makes everything super clear. So it's something we discovered. It's brand new technology, and everybody likes it. It's like a dirty windshield. You know, as soon as you spray it off, you're like, oh wow, it's so clear.
It's a different world on the other side.
Different world, yeah.
So Al, speaking of colors, let's talk a little bit about the lenses that we offer through Bahio.
Yeah, we've got all the colors of the rainbow, and each one is for a certain type of fishing, right? So we've got blue for offshore, we've got green for inshore, both bright conditions. We got silver for lakes and bays. If you're a bass fisherman, you might like the silver. And then we have two low light lenses, the pink and the purple. We call them rose and violet.
Right.
And those are for dark, you know, sort of early morning type of conditions, cloudy days, and they really make the fish pop off the bottom.
Well, the other thing that I love about Bahio is, you know, nothing in the world is perfect, but if we have a problem, let's tell everybody about our great warranty.
Well, you know, I tell all my guys, look, I want a real person to answer the phone in 3 rings or less, because I hate talking to voicemail machines, and I want them to take care of our customers just like they take care of a friend. So we're very flexible. You know, we don't give away the store, but we try to bend over backwards to take care of you if something goes wrong.
And you know, I know you guys do a great job. So if somebody's watching and they're interested in buying their first pair of Bahio, or their 10th, which was what we're hoping for, where do they go to find out more information?
I would go to Bahio's website, www.bahiosunglasses.com.
All right, there you go, guys. Good job, Mr. Perkinson.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you running the show for us. All right, Bree, where are we going?
All right, well, in the Alto-Coban East region, we're not just willy-nilly wahoo fishing. You want to catch one or more of these torpedoes, you got to be prepared with the right baits and the right gear. And of course, listen to Captain Mike Holliday. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Bree, how are you? And I wear violet mirrors all day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, to catch wahoo in the Alto-Coban East region, you have to troll fast, get your baits down below the surface. Those are the two big keys. This is the time of year the fish are eating the juvenile blackfin tuna and the bullet bonita. So look for them in the areas that hold those species. The best action seems to be in 200 to 400 feet of water off Palm Beach County, also on the 8 Mile Reef, the Acalina Bank, People's area off Wabasso. You also find them a lot on floating objects like trees and garbage bags, particularly those that sit deep in the water column. And you can use a trolling weight, a planer, a wire line, or a downrigger just to get those baits down. Put them out on a double hook ballyhoo or a double hook rig mullet with a red and black or black and blue R&R Wahoo magnet. You can also slow troll blue runners or bullet bonita. Put them out on a number 8 wire stinger rig. Average Wahoo in my region is going to be like 20 to 30 pounds, but we do get some jumbos. And Captain Scott Fawcett of Off the Chain Charters in Stewart, he sent me this shot of a jumbo Wahoo that they caught. They got that fish out on Push Button Hill on a trolled ballyhoo.
Wow.
The other thing we got going right now, when we get these big storms that kick up the surf for a week at a time, it really stirs up the water and fires up the snapper fishing on the reefs in 65 to 90 feet of water. Some of the better areas to fish include the Loran Ledge, the 6 Mile Reef, the Bethel Shoals Reef, as well as the natural and artificial reefs and wrecks that are out there. And there's been this general push of snapper onto the shallow reefs, 25 to 40 feet of water, as they come in this time of year to feed on the bait schools and the hatching turtles. Now you want to target those fish with a live or a dead sardine, a cigar minnow, a pilchard, or a threadfin. Put them out on a 3-way swivel rig with 40-pound leader and a 6-0 circle hook, and on the bottom of that, just enough weight to hold bottom. You can anchor up and chum, or you can drift and just bounce bottom as you go. Average mangrove in my region is going to be like 1 to 4 pounds, where the average mutton is going to be more like 5 to 12 pounds. And we'll get some big muttons up over 15. Captain Charlie Stube of Jupiter, he got this nice mixed bag of muttons, mangroves, and amberjacks in this photo. They got that in 86 feet of water off the Juneau Pier, and those fish ate Spanish sardines dead.
All right, bud, let's go inshore.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of the resident juvenile tarpon showing up around the bridges of the Indian, the St. Lucie, and the Loxahatchee rivers at night, and also in places like Big and Little Mud Creeks during the cooler times of the day, dawn and dusk. And then there's fish at the Lake Worth Inlet and the Blue Heron Bridge, and also in Fort Pierce Inlet at night on the outgoing tides. Fish are gearing up to chase mullet for the fall mullet run. So, this is the time to fish mullet as your primary bait, live or dead. It seems like the larger fish are coming right now on dead mullet on the bottom. For fish on the bridges at night, the ideal bait is a 4 to 8 inch live mullet or a crab if the tide's going out. Put them out on a 4-0 circle hook. But, those fish will eat topwater plugs if you pause them, like when you're bass fishing. And then Houdini-colored 5-inch sea shads work down the shadow lines. Average tarpon in my region this time of year is going to be 20 to 50 pounds. So they get some bigger ones. Captain Ed Zayak sent me a photo of a nice tarpon they caught this weekend out in Big Mud Creek up by the power plant in the Indian River. And the fish in that photo ate a live mullet. The other thing we got going, Hurricane Aaron kind of upset the beach snook fishing, but the inlets are still holding, good schools of fish, as are the shorelines and docks just inside the inlets. Snook season opens this coming Monday. Some of the best action is going to come at night on the bridges like the A1A Bridge in Jupiter, the 25-cent Bridge in Stewart, and around South Bridge in Fort Pierce. And, we're kind of between moons, so that should keep the tides at a little better level. It had been high. Maybe they'll get back to a normal level here with this in-between moons. Look for the inlet fish to be most active in the Lake Worth, St. Lucie, and Fort Pierce inlets on the outgoing tides, and then in Jupiter Inlet on the incoming tide. And then start your day throwing topwater plugs or saltwater sass and shads, work them tight to the shorelines and seawalls. Then when the sun gets up, move to a live threadfin, a pilchard, or a croaker, particularly around the inlets. On the bridges, live mullet, topwater plugs, swimming plugs, and larger swim baits like a black shad colored Artemis shad are going to be money on those shadow lines after dark or right before first light. Average snook right now is going to be 8 to 15 pounds. And I got a photo, Bob Foray sent me this shot of a jumbo snook he caught on fly at night on one of the bridges in Stewart. He's out there beating the heat, out there all alone at night, man.
All right, Bub, we seem to be getting rain every day. How's that affecting the bass fishing?
It's cooling down the water, but before the rain comes, the bass bite, particularly like on Headwaters Lake and Fellsmere, has been steady. There's been a good topwater bite at dawn along that western shoreline. I was talking to Captain Nathan Sean of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said start your day fishing small poppers or prop baits, fishing with real long pauses. The fish will not chase that lure if you move it fast. You can throw walking plugs as long as you pause them for long pauses. And then as the sun gets up, the most consistent bites have been on the isolated reed clumps, stick piles, hydrilla, and lily pads. Work those areas with a wacky rig, black and blue, or June bug colored Bass Assassin tap-out worm, or even a Texas rig or an RSB worm. And then on the days when there's a lot of wind, a white spinnerbait with a gold willow leaf blade or a chatterbait that will get to bite along the edges of the grass. Right now it's a 20 to 40 fish morning there on headwaters. Average bass 1 to 4 pounds, but Nathan said he's catching them up to about 7 pounds right now.
All right, Mike, thank you so much covering from A to Z for us this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the Alta Equipment East region. He says inshore, the flounder on the Jensen Causeway, live finger mullet, or pilchers on a 1/2 ounce rubber core sinker or white curly tail jig. And then offshore, the daytime swordfish off a lake worth 1,700 to 1,900 feet of water. Drop down a squid, a bonita belly, or a whole ladyfish. See, even his hotspots were different than his whole report. Sounds like the East region is just on fire.
It is on fire. I'm in the East region.
Yes, you are.
On fire. Just
oh,
kidding.
that's
All right, well, we're in for a good couple of months coming up in the Casa Vieja Lodge, Southeast region. So let's see what kind of recommendations Captain Jimbo Thomas has for our toothy, tasty friends. Hello, Jimbo.
Hey, Bree, Rick, and everybody else in the studio. Yep, Southeast region, Wahoo, we catch them throughout the year, but around the full moons of August, September, and October, that bite can really turn on. And one of the most productive ways to catch wahoos is the fast troll weighted lures, anywhere to 10 to 15 knots, or you can slow down to 6 to 8 knots, fish sea witch in a bonita strip combo, or a drone spoon, or deep diving lures. You want to get that bait down deep, you can use a wireline outfit or a planer, number 2, number 3, number 4 planer. So getting down deep will get you your wahoo bites. They also like to eat live baits under the kite or on flat lines, and more bites will come off of big baits. My favorites are big speedo, but big blue runners, goggle eyes, those are all popular good bait choices. And with those bigger baits, you want to use a stinger rig so you can hook those short bites, and they are notorious for short bites. A lot of times the wahoo will cut that live bait in half, and instead of reeling it in, kind of free spool it, let it sink back down. Fish will loop around, come back and eat the other half. They can also be found under floating debris, and you can catch those under the floater. So if you're out there and find a big floater you're dolphin fishing, you can try trolling a deep diving lure or dropping a live bait or even a jig under that floater, and you're going to catch some wahoos, but they're typically going to be smaller. Now, they do have sharp teeth, so you want to use a piece of wire leader so you don't get any cutoffs. And just like any offshore fish, they would like to see blue water with good north current, good depths, or anywhere from 120 to 500 foot range. And generally, the areas from Hillsborough north to Boynton Inlets seems to regularly produce more wahoos than anywhere else in the Southeast region. And the few wahoos caught lately have been on the troll with the spoons or the strip bait sea witch combo on the wireline or the planer, anywhere from like 200 to 400 feet of water, and they've been in the 25 to 30 pound range. And like Mike says, there's been some schools of blackfin tunas and small bonitas. That's a good area to target those wahoos. Got a photo here. This is Carson Rogers, which is with a pair of nice wahoos caught down in the south end of the region here. Now, dolphin are still one of our best offshore bets. We've been finding them anywhere from 400 feet of water on out to 2,000 feet or deeper, which is roughly 4 to 18 miles offshore. We're still seeing patches of sargassum coming through, and we've been catching schoolies caught off of those weed patches. There's also been birds working over schools of fish, and the larger fish typically are going to move to the south, and they've been in areas of scattered grass. They've been eating trolled rig ballyhoo along with small lures and feathers. You can also try and get in front of the birds if you see birds working, and you can get some live baits out there. You can soak those live baits and hope they find you, or you can try trolling in front of those birds and get bites. There's also been some bait under the seaweed out there, so if you're short on live bait, you can drop a sabiki down and get some small blue runners and miscellaneous other stuff to fill up that live well. Most of the fish have been nice-sized schoolies in the 4 to 6 pound range, and about the largest one I've heard in the last few days was around 15 pounds. Got another photo here. This is the Brandon family with a nice catch of dolphin that was last week fishing aboard the Double D with Captain Gene Panos. Now inshore, snook season opens September 1st, which is next Monday. There's been plenty of snook around. We got schools of snook in the inlets. They're being caught on live baits, herrings, pilchards, pinfish, croakers. You want to drift them near the bottom, or you can try working flare hawk jigs and soft plastics along the bottom as well. All of the bridges are also holding snook that are being caught on both live and artificial baits. You want to fish those along the shadow lines. In both the inlets and the bridges, outgoing tide is going to be the best. Then along the beaches from Lake Worth Inlet south to Government Cut, we've got snook running in the troughs just off the beach. They're eating live pilchards, any herrings, and artificials that look like small pilchards. So if you find an area that has some live baits, that's where you want to fish off the beaches there. Best time to target these beach snook is early in the morning before the beach gets too crowded, or late in the afternoon. You can do it either by boat or foot. And then with this hot, rainy weather we've been experiencing...
10 seconds, Jimbo, quick.
Those peacock bass fired up. You can find those peacocks in all the lakes and canals of South Broward, biting small live minnows, swimming lures and chartreuse, jigs and dark colors, and you catch one on fly on a red and white or green and white clouser minnow. Got another photo here. This is Andy Lauderdale with a nice peacock bass he caught somewhere around a spillway bridge around Holiday Park.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the ACR hotspots from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. He says inshore, look for the snook in all the inlets and off of the beaches in the evening and early morning where they are eating live and artificial baits. And then offshore, troll or cast live and cut baits to dolphin offshore and around weed patches under some blades.
Under the blades. All right, well, you all have probably heard Rick and Ridge talk about their Chittum, and Chittum Skiffs will be hosting an open factory day in Palm City. Completely open to the public, so bring the family and come see how these fine skiffs are made. Hitch a ride on a demo or visit some of the best guides in the industry on Saturday, August 30th from 12 to 5 p.m.
I'm buying all the drinks.
You're buying all the drinks?
Yeah, man.
Talk about the best guide in the industry. Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, coming up, we're seeing what Dave is slinging for new products at the CCA Workbench. What you slinging over there?
Rod and reel.
There you go.
We're going to be talking about this thing, and, you know, Rick never buys drinks. What's going on with that?
Well, now he is, because he's got a Chittum.
How am I getting in that?
You're going August 30th. And then the Panhandle Region Captain is getting us on the water with some big catches for your Labor Day weekend future ahead. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back with Captain Pat Deneen.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Well, we're going to troll the edge with Taco Marine here at the CCA Workbench. And Dave, I'm back over here with you, baby.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You got some good shoes over there. We got the Strike footwear. These are a really cool company. We just met them up at ICAST this last time. They've teamed up with the IGFA, and our buddy Dennis Friel is doing their art for them as well. But these are really cool shoes. The one you have there is called the Bluefin Lace sneaker. Lightweight performance sneaker built for traction and a lot of support. you notice these are a little bit heavier than some of the shoes that we've had, but I think that they're going to last a lot longer. You know, they've got a whole lot of stitching involved on them. They're made from recycled marine plastics. They use a special yarn, a plastic yarn, to make these shoes. They got a really nice toe bumper, an aqua deck sole. The same kind of sole. They got the real tiny siping cuts in the bottom so that it wicks all the water away from your sole there, so when you step on that, it actually gives you grip, makes all the water go away, and that rubber sole is just exceptional grip. It also has these really cool channels underneath that all these holes here, all the water inside the shoe channels out those holes in the bottom. So
no really hydroplaning here.
No, you're not going to.
And what about this one, Dave?
That's the silver tip strap sneaker. Same kind of technology involved, but it has the straps instead of the string.
This would be good for the fly fishing guys. No fly line getting hung up in your laces.
They're very versatile on or off the deck, both of those shoes. Really nice shoes.
Absolutely.
Next we have the SIGs from Wahoo. These are, you know, with the different colors, a very casual style, but they still have all the technical stuff that Wahoo has as far as fishing goes. Wide polarized lenses with the blue light blockers in there. Built-in sun ledge, also has the built-in rubber temples and the nose as well, so that when you put them on and you sweat, those things stay right where they are.
Right.
Have flex hinges as well. 5 different frame colors, 7 different lens colors, and you can get them in readers or prescription as well. 100% UV blocking, 95% bad blue, and I think 90% of the yellow. So
that's correct.
Bad yellow.
And we have the best warranty in the business. You call up, somebody's going to answer the phone. They're going to give you a claim number, and you're going to have your glasses back in 5 days.
There you go. WahooSunglasses.com. You can't beat that with a stick.
Nope. Speaking of a stick, this is a stick.
Yeah, correct. We'll do the stick first. This is the Carnage 3 boat rod. High performance rod building results in powerful lightweight blanks, and these use the new special SLS3 blank construction, where they wrap the graphite and the fiberglass together. Nice Fuji K guides on there with the 6 inserts, C-guide aluminum reel seat, custom full rubberized handles, and an aluminum gimbal on the bottom, which, if you're going to use a 2-speed reel, you should have an aluminum gimbal.
That's correct.
And this is a medium. They come in medium light, medium heavy, and heavy. I think this is a heavy, and it's a 7 foot.
So let's talk about the Fathom.
Well, they got the Pin Fathom 2 there. It's a 2-speed conventional reel. The 2-speed is when you get a fish dogging you and you click into 2-speed, you go down from 6.3 to 1 gear ratio down to 1.9 to 1, almost a 1 to 1. So you can, you get tired on that heavy one, go down to low gear, and you can just crank him up. 40 pounds of max drag on that little reel. They're really making a lot of these reels a lot smaller nowadays. You don't need to fight the reel anymore.
Right.
This thing has as much drag as a 50 wide before would have.
Right.
So the 40 in there, the Carnage, the Pin Fathom 2 40 in is a really good. It's very small and lightweight, but still has a lot of power.
This is what Ridge and I use for our kite fishing. The whole exact setup.
You can catch
7
tunas,
foot, Carnage
little
3.
blue marlins, everything.
Yes, you can. So. I just ordered 8 for Patty Boy for his big boat.
Beautiful.
All right. So where are we going that?
Pin fishing.
Pinfishing.com.
That's right.
All right.
That is a pretty looking workbench over there, gentlemen. But
thank you, Bree.
You know what? Our friends over at Wahoo are partnering with Field & Stream to give you a shot to win shades and more. Whether you're fishing freshwater, the Atlantic Ocean, Gulf, or Mosquito Lagoon, catch one of 12 select fish and you could win big. Simply register online or use the QR code on your screen, catch a fish, and submit a photo that includes the measurement and a piece of paper with Wahoo and Field & Stream written on it. This tournament is free to enter, and you can submit fish from all 50 states. The biggest fish in each category will be crowned at the end of the summer. This is the Wahoo Summer Sprint. Catch fish, win big, always free to enter, but never easy to win. Bummer. But you know what?
I noticed you got a little jerky in your teeth there, jerky.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Panhandle region has it all for you this weekend, from wahoo to white marlin, redfish, and a little triple tail action. So let's not keep Captain Pat Deneen waiting any longer while I go get a toothpick. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Bree, how y'all doing? I tell you what, we do have wahoo, and we get them year round pretty much. I mean, we catch them locally May through November in our offshore waters, south and the southwest of this in the Panhandle. But in the cold winter months, it's a short run west of river mouth, so the Mississippi River mouth, and there's some really crazy wahoo fishing late winter and early spring around those shallow rigs. This summer, the Panhandle has seen some really good wahoo numbers. It's been a pretty consistent catch of them this past week, primarily for crews that are pulling plugs to and from, their bottom fishing spots out there by the southwest edge, the Mingo Ridge, the south edge. Really, any place you have a good natural, roll down from 160 to 300 foot of water or so, and all those areas that have got a good steep edge to them. And also, that speaking of steep edges, the Alaska wreck to the southeast of Destin, it's got a really strong edge that goes from 100 foot down to almost 300 feet of water. Be particularly productive this time of year. And while you're out there, keep an eye out for any floating debris you may find offshore, particularly if it extends well into the water column. And then, of course, the fads at the spur are usually good for a wahoo bite or two. You want troll lures that stay in the water and run deep. And make sure when you do catch those wahoos, don't overcook them because they're fantastic sushi. There's a photo there Captain Cliff Atwell sent me. He's on the charter boat Real Grace out of Destin. And Saturday on their way out to their bottom spot, they're pulling a couple wahoo plugs, picked up a nice one in 160 feet of water. So they're out there, and if you get out, and the weather's been great for it, Rick. So no problem there. Staying offshore, speaking of good weather, the white marlin and billfish in particular continue to be excellent. All the states in the Gulf of Mexico have had exceptional billfishing this summer, but lately it's been on fire. The Gunslinger, a sport fishing boat up here, they had a triple fantasy slam this past week with white marlins, blue marlins, sails, and swords on a double overnighter. So they were fishing for 3 days, but they had, 3 fantasy slams, which is pretty amazing. Multiple shots a day are the norm, and the bite just continues. There's some good-looking blended water from the elbow towards the nipple and down towards the squiggles. It's not really blue, but it does continue to improve from where it's been. But regardless of the water color, there's a lot of bait, 600 to 800 feet of water. And when you find that bait, don't wander too far from it. You want to troll spreads of naturals, ballyhoos in Spanish, with it, and increase your odds if you pull some dredges and some teasers as well. Whites and sails are the most numerous, but be ready for a blue marlin to crash the party. It's a nice one to thin around in that shallow water. Moving inshore, Rick, the redfish must be feeling the changing of the seasons because both in the bays along the Gulf, the beaches, the redfish has been really good. I've mostly been fishing along the beach, and the water has been calm and clear. The June weeds have been dying out and sinking to the bottom. It's perfect conditions for sight fishing, and I've been using topwater lures like the Jaywalker and light colors. They've been working really well, but still have soft plastic swim baits in light colors. But if you want a slam dunk, no-brainer, go with some live free lines, cigar minnows or herrings. Nose hook them and sight cast them. The redfish have been close right up on the beach in the wash zone. So pick you a quiet section of the beach like Crooked Island or the Gulf Islands National Seashore over at Fort Pickens. Most of these redfish are just over slot, but some are in the slot. There's a photo I got from a couple of young anglers with a crisp pair of beach redfish caught on live cigar minnows on the beach in Navarre. So pretty happy kids. And what Rick, you know how that is. That redfish is awesome.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Love to see these young anglers doing it well. All right, tell me about the triple tails, Bo.
Yeah, Rick, finally this calm, hot weather, it's had the triple tail fishing fired up as well over to the east. Apalachicola, St. Vincent Island, Carabel, basically the Apalachicola Bay area, has had some really good triple tail fishing lately. They're catching them on the markers and the floats, and on the tide line. The calm winds, you want to get out before you sea breeze, but that makes the fish like to float up high in the water. The calmer it is, you want to use a small live bait under a float or a small soft plastic or a shrimp imitation. There's a photo there of Captain Ronnie Respondick and his son Boone. They were there this past week doing some scalloping, but they slipped over there and also caught some of those Indian Pass triple tails.
Yes, they did. All right, thank you so much, Pat. We're going to go and take a look at the heroes on the water, Panhandle region. Hot spots, he says, inshore. Spanish mackerel blitzing bait at the Mid-Bay Bridge, cast silver spoons and flashy jigs around the bait schools in the morning and during the late afternoon glass off and then offshore. King mackerel bite has been savage in 80 feet of water southeast of Destin over natural hard bottom area.
Savage. I love it.
Savage.
All right, as we know, summer is fading fast, but the savings are still blazing hot. It's the final days of the Skeeter Blazing Hot Summer Savings Sales Event, and until September 5th, you can save big with up to $5,000 in rebates on select models. Get the Skeeter boat you've been dreaming about across the popular bass, saltwater, and deep V lines. So visit your authorized Skeeter dealer today or go to skeeterboats.com for more details. But Rick, we're getting our Wahoo on in the Northeast region, and then the Northwest region captain, Jeff Hageman, has some bragging to do. So make sure you stay hooked. And remember, there's always to see beyond the show. So scan the QR code to connect with us. From bonus tips and full reports to fishing videos and merch, it's all just a click away. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Well, Rick, we've seen some solid Wahoo come through the Northeast region this season, and it's not even prime time yet. When can we expect more from you, Tommy?
Well, it needs to get a little cooler, but we catch them all. They catch them this time of year, and we have caught some monsters this year in the region. But, we have an awesome Wahoo fishery here. And fishing for Wahoo, it's a big deal for us. And although right now isn't the best time of year to target them, like I said, you can catch them year-round. Probably the best time for Wahoo in my region is going to be like from December through March. Most anglers are going to troll for those Wahoo. They're going to start in about 120 foot and work on out to the ledge. You're going to be looking for a few things out there. The guys tell me one thing is concentrations of bait, especially near or on top of any kind of structure. A good color change is something to keep an eye out for as well. If you find a good edge, fish that pretty hard. The Wahoo really like that change. Most anglers are trolling a skirted ballyhoo or a variety of lures like an Islander or a black bart. You're going to want to troll those ballyhoo and lures at about 8 to 10 knots, but there's a lot of anglers, especially the tournament guys in the region, that like the high-speed troll as well. And those guys are going to pull lures behind trolling leads, and they're going to be scooting, man. They're like 15 to 18 knots, they tell me. They're typically going to start in a little closer and then work their way on out to the ledge as well. But really the big story in Wahoo fishing in the region, especially in tournament Wahoo fishing in recent years, is the guys have started getting more into live baiting for those Wahoo. A lot of the big tournaments last couple of years have been won using live bonitas for bait. I know a lot of guys have been installing tuna tubes on their boats now because of how successful the live baiting method has been for those Wahoo throughout the region. And speaking of big Wahoo, I got a photo here. These are my boys Nate Creeder and Jordan Johnson with a really nice Wahoo that they caught aboard the weed line this past season. Now, it's also offshore, guys. There hasn't been a ton of offshore fishing happening. The ocean's been a little bumpy the last couple of weeks. We've had some swell going on. But the guys tell me the vermilion snapper and the mangrove snapper bite still both pretty strong. 80 to 120 feet has been best for the beeliners. And the mangroves, with that full moon that we have coming up pretty soon, they've still been schooled up and feeding up in the column after chumming with sardines or a variety of other dead baits. Now, moving on into inshore, the redfish bite continues to be the go-to this week. I know, man, I've been touting the redfish bite all summer. It's just been so dang good, which is awesome. But speaking of redfish, guys, you still have time to win big in that CCA Star tournament that's going on. There's all kinds of different prizes to be won. Anybody can enter. Go to ccaflstar.com and check out the details there. So, we've had some great flood tides last week. We even have maybe a couple sneaky ones this week, but we're back to having that early morning low tide, which is going to be ideal for targeting those redfish this time of year. The shrimp they are as thick as I've ever seen them in the creek throughout the region. The redfish are feeding on them on that low water, especially early in the morning. Look for busting and backing fish. We've been tossing the saltwater assassin paddle tail, rigged on either a saltwater assassin weighted weedless hook or a fairly light jig head. And those reds are fired up and they're absolutely crushing those paddle tails as long as you present it the right way. Make sure to cast well past the fish, go into stealth mode and just ease it up to them, slide it up to them. When it's in range of the fish, just give it a little wiggle or two and it should be game on. Now the reds are also eating top waters early. especially along the intercoastal banks on that early morning low tide around bait schools. And I got another picture here. This is my buddy Marcus Wiley with a nice redfish on a pretty morning that he caught on a paddle tail in St. Augustine. Now, also inshore, guys, the trout bite has been great here this lately, especially for this time of year, especially, or at least for me anyways. Trout are usually more plentiful as it starts to cool off a little bit, but man, this week the trout bite has been awesome, especially during those lower light hours like sunrise and at sunset. The Berkeley Jaywalker and the Cane Walker plugs, both been working fantastic. My client's been catching a lot of trout on those this week. We caught quite a few trout in that 16 to 20 inch range. We're just fishing the ICW banks around schools of bait again. Now, we've also caught some nice trout along the grass edges once that tide comes in a little higher, and we've been using live and cut mullet. And yes, big trout do love cut mullet. They're lazy just like redfish. And there's also been a good trout bite happening in the south end of the region. I got a couple good reports from down there this week in the creeks and the canals from Pellicer Creek on down to Tomoka Basin. Topwater plugs, subsurface plugs, again, worked around schools of bait have been the ticket. You're likely to run into some snook in those same areas. There's quite a few of them around as well. Maybe even find you a big giant gator trout. And speaking of gator trout, I have one last picture here. Sean Belts, he sent me this picture of, I think it was his personal best, an absolute giant gator trout. I think it was 29 inches that he caught in Guana River on a paddle tail.
Wow, what a great picture. Great. Congratulations on that big trout, dude. All right, bub, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Inshore, redfish and trout along the ICW banks on the early low tide. Toss Berkeley Jaywalkers or Cane Walkers around the schools of finger mullet. And then offshore, vermilion and mangrove snappers from 80 to 120 feet. Chum with sardines for those mangoes.
Rick, our north regions are just killing it. And it sounds like the Northwest region has some Wahoo bragging to do as well. So Captain Jeff Hageman, why don't you lay it on us?
Wahoo fishing's getting better and better every year up here, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's water temp or what it is. More people fishing for them, but we've had one of the best Wahoo fishing bites the last couple of years I've seen, and it's getting better and better every year. High-speed trolling's the thing that works best here. Trolling between 10 and 18 knots, depending on the current and the wind. You want to zigzag a little bit, constantly pull those baits in and out of that whitewash. Pull as many rods as you feel comfortable. Usually 2 to 3 rods is a good set. Your longest rod, center rod, will be anywhere from 200 to 300 to 350 yards out. Weighted with a stainless steel cable and 32-ounce torpedo lead in front of that, and quite a bit of shock mono. You want to put some mono in there for a shock. You're trolling so fast, these fish hit so violently, you want to have a little bit of shock in there. So don't run that directly to your braid. Plus, you get a lot of Wahoo strikes on that torpedo, so make sure you do not have braid there, or they will cut it quickly. Your other rods, 150 to 100 yards back, 28-ounce torpedo lead, mono shock on that one as well. And your other third rod, you want to put about 80 yards out and have that one be your close one. Fish anywhere from 120 to 700 feet of water. You want to look for clean water. Over wrecks, hard bottom's a great place to go. Those deeper wrecks we have out there. Any kind of bait, frigate birds is a great indicator of large fish in the area. And I got a photo here from the Big Nasty crew of a nice West Coast Wahoo.
Nice. All right.
Staying offshore, Captain Rob Davenport also reports right now a good cobia bite. They've been showing up on the offshore reefs and wrecks and hard bottom. Live pinfish or a bucktail's been working good if you see him in the water column, but he's also catching them right on the bottom while he's grouper fishing on a knocker rig. Moving on inshore, Captain Corey Palmer of Light Tackle Sports Fishing out of Tarpon Springs reported a good redfish bite in his area right now. Fishing around oyster bars, mangrove points. Most of the fish right now are ranging in Tarpon Springs anywhere from 22 to 26 inches with the occasional over-slot size fish mixed in. He's using belly-hooked greenbacks or cut bait on a 2-aught Trokar circle hook, and that's been producing the best for him. Moving up the coast a little bit, Captain James Kerr out of Crystal River reports his redfish bite action remaining pretty steady this week in Crystal River. He's found most successful around mangrove shorelines, oyster bars, and outside points on the falling tide. Best time to fish, he said, is early morning, late afternoon, if you can beat those storms. As far as top baits go, live pinfish, shrimp, cut mullet. far as artificial goes, gold spoons, soft plastic paddle tails, and natural colors, either white or natural, is working best for him. Works slowly near those structures. Most of his redfish right now are running anywhere from 18 to 27 inches, with a few oversized bulls being caught too. And I've got a couple great photos from both my Captain Corey and Captain James of some nice redfish.
Nice. All right, man. Good job. All right, what else you got?
I got
Jim?
one more.
Big Daddy's got something for us?
Yep, Captain Jim Power, Big Daddy Sport Fishing, reported good snook bite right now. Live pilchards, 3/0 trocar circle hook, 4 feet of 25-pound fluorocarbon leader has been his best setup for targeting these fish this time of year. If you're seeing the snook and they're not chasing the baits down, don't be afraid to put some chunk baits out. Some of these snook right now are eating chunk baits and dead baits on the bottom. And I've got a photo here from Captain Jim of a nice Tampa Bay snook.
Nice. All right. Look at that little
Cutie.
pumpkin, man. Good job, Mom. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discovery Crystal River hotspots from the Northwest region. Hag says that the snook on the beginning and the end of the outgoing tide used pinfish and grunts with a 1-ounce lead drifted in the passes. And then offshore, mangrove snappers and high relief structure 15 to 35 using small pinfish and sardines on a knocker rig. Hey, I got something for you, Bree. Your favorite color, what is it? Do you remember?
Nope.
That's butt naked. There it is right there. I just want to give you a little Bass Assassin trivia here at the workbench.
Thank you very much for that one. All right, hey Floridians, turn your drive into a difference with the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. That $25 goes directly to clean water projects, habitat restoration, marine life protection, and coastal education. Make sure you grab yours at your DMV or order online at redfishtag.com and show your support on the road.
You won't forget.
All right, well, we've got a lot, tried to forget. We've got a lot to look forward to this weekend in the StarTron Central West region. So stay hooked for a chat with the great Captain Jeff Page. And make sure you come and join us on set and be part of our live studio audience like these fine folks have. We have just one more left in the season, and you still have time to sign up for our bass show. So go to our website, and we'll see you soon.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips, building the infrastructure that safeguards our future. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, and Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the Power Pole Vision. Guys, this is the entertainment part of the Power Pole Vision. I love it. The reason why is I can take a traditional day of fishing, and now when I go to the sandbar, I have something to offer to all the people in my boat. Whether it's the kids watching one of their favorite TV shows, whether I want to stream something on Discovery Go, you want to watch Sportsman's Adventures, guess what? All those streaming devices can be shown right here on Vision. The other thing that you can do is you can play all your favorite music by simply go into Spotify or other music apps, and then mama's gonna be happy. If you want to order some food on the way home, guess what? Go to DoorDash, and guess what? You can order your favorite food and pick it up on the way home. If you want to know more about Vision, guys, go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
All right, our StarTron Central West Region Captain Jeff Page is ready to prep you for prime Wahoo season and put you on some redfish and red grouper for your weekend holiday festivities. So Jeff, let's hear it. Get us ready.
It is the weekend for, like what Ronnie Houston says, the working man, Labor Day. And you know what? Wahoo can be caught in our region year-round. And these toothy torpedoes, they like to hang out near some kind of food source, like springs, wrecks, bait stacks, even pieces of hard bottom. The 40-fathom break is a year-round hangout for the Wahoo in the spring and the fall. They'll venture inshore to about 100 feet plus, but most of the time anywhere in any depth once you get out there. Targeting Wahoo takes a lot of time and patience. Trolling lip plugs around 8 to 12 knots is an easy way to find them, Weighted skirt lures such as black bart, islander, and jetheads are another way to go for wahoo. They're typically run at higher speeds, trolled behind boats, 10 to 20 knots. It's a great way to cover large areas, but keeping a live or dead bait flatlined out behind the boat with a short piece of wire while you're bottom fishing is another easy way. Best time to get them in our region, the first couple hours of daylight or the last 2 hours of dusk. That's why the flat line out on the bottom fishing is a good idea. My photo tonight is of my good friend Captain Kalen Olayer out of Stump Pass Marina with his wife Tori with a real nice West Central wahoo. Going off, staying offshore, triple tail. You know what? Usually the triple tail fishery doesn't really start firing off till mid-October, late October. But for some reason, anything floating out there in that 7 to 11 mile range has been holding triple tail. And don't keep the same rules that you run during the fall. Right now, stay off the structure. Approach with your trolling motor if you can. Cast past your bait and bring it to his face and drop it. And that's exactly what Billy Alstrom, he had Jessica Croak with him, and that's exactly what they did, and they got that giant triple tail while they were permit fishing.
Nice. That's a big one there, boss. Let's go in. What else you got for us? Inshore now.
Inshore, redfish, Rick. It's beginning to look a lot like fall. Fish are showing up on these high tides. There's been some schools up around the Manatee River, and then down south, Captain Danny Lathan's been on them, and the guys over in Placida have been catching them as well. On the higher tides, Rick, they're fishing underneath the bushes with chunks of ladyfish. You could use a gulp on a 1/4 ounce, skip it under there. And if the schools are pushing away from your boat, it's a good idea to have a 1/2 ounce gold spoon or the larger size Berkeley Jaywalker in the bone or the pilchard pattern. And then a popping cork will assist in getting that bait out further. But like I said, if you're going to skip under the bushes, you don't want to use a cork there. You want to put a chunk just on a 3/0 light wire Trocor circle hook and skip it on under there. Look for the fish to even start schooling up more as we roll into September and October. And my photo tonight, that's Cole Riscard with a nice South Tampa Bay redfish he caught with Captain Brandon McCorkle. My last species, you know, we've been having a lot of rain and we're talking snook. And what happens is that water temperature drops and that crystal clear water turns to tannic, which you're used to down your way, Rick. But the mouth of Philippi Creek, at the mouth of Manatee River, and all those little tributaries off to the east and west, those are real good. You get down south, Catfish Creek and Whiddens Creek, real good. And it's some good topwater fishing for that first couple hours of morning. The larger Jaywalker in the bone or the pilchard pattern will work really well. Live bait, it's tough to beat a medium-sized pilchard or a medium-sized pinfish under a cork, worked along the drop-off edges, oyster bars, and then nighttime snook fishing has been really good. Captain Dave Parlamou, the Mad Snooker, has been doing real well in the south part of our region, working bridges and docks with live ladyfish and live silver mullet. And my last photo tonight is from the mayor of the Manatee River of another big snook he got. That's Captain Griffin Deans of Slot Machine Charters.
All right, good job. Thanks for batting clean up tonight for us, Captain Page. I know it's way past your bedtime, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots. Captain Page says inshore, the upper slot reds are holding under the mangrove bushes from Pamasola Bay and Terracea Bay. On the higher stages of the tide, use cut ladyfish or gulp turbo shrimp and pearl white pattern on a 1/4 ounce jig head. And then offshore, red grouper, the bite in 90 to 150 feet of water over Swiss cheese, bottom off of Venice, north to Anna Maria. Live pinfish and dead sardines are going to be the best bet. So you heard him talk about the big triple tails. You know why they've all showed up?
Why?
Because we've had about 10 days of west wind. So that brings in all the flotsam in the Gulf on the west coast. And certainly that's bringing with all that floating stuff, those triple tail are floating with it.
That makes total sense. Thank you for clearing that up, Rick. You're so smart.
I know it's hard to believe, but there's something in here.
It's very hard to believe. Okay,
Not
make
much.
sure you save the date for September 27th for the Red Trout Go Live tournament, a special event benefiting the treatment and recovery of our very own StarTron Central West captain, Jeff Page. Join anglers and compete for the largest redfish up to 9 pounds and the single heaviest trout, all for a great cause and an absolute legendary captain. Scan the QR code on your screen for more info and make sure you get registered. But this Labor Day weekend, it's time to get to work high-speeding and cranking in some Whoos because the reports are all in. But make sure you stay with us to see what we're up to next week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Next week, we're talking piers and jetties, so make sure to tune in, something that everybody can do. All right, but before you hit the water, let's dive into Seize the Social, your best moments from fishing in Florida. Let's check it out, gentlemen.
All right, let's check it out.
Stay cool. Oh, that's a big old squid.
Humboldt squid.
Oh my God.
Squid puke.
I don't really know what to say except I don't want any more jerky. I'm good.
You're good on the jerky?
I'm good on the jerky.
You can't be rubbing the belly.
That's
You
bad.
can't be rubbing the belly.
I don't think it had anything to do with that.
All right, well, remember, if you saw a fishing reel you'd like to share and be featured on Seize the Social, just scan the QR code or drop them in our DMs. But you know what? We're into our Labor Day weekend, gentlemen. I'm so excited.
Woohoo! What are you
Kids
gonna
are
do?
off school Monday. We're going to fish. If the weather's good, you know. Because, I'm in that southeast, east region, catch maybe some snookies, get the kids out. You know?
I'm not doing it.
What are you doing? You're not here?
I'm going to Cordoba to go dove hunting for 10 days.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Nice.
So
With
lucky.
both my
Well,
boys
thank you
and
everyone for tuning
a whole bunch of
in.
other
Thank you
dudes.
to our live studio audience. It's been wonderful having you. Make sure you stay safe and stay cool. And happy Labor Day. We'll see you next week.